Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. I am your host, the HOD of the PSP, and welcome to this sort of new, sort of mini podcast, side podcast, you can call it whatever you want, but it is the road to the final for the African Champions League. I'm trying to find a suitable name for that anyway, but you know, I'll figure that out. Welcome to the channel. Like, share, comment on the video, subscribe to the channel, enable notifications to receive all the updates on the channel, and follow us on social media, PSP on Twitter, Page Sideboard on Instagram, and this is going to go up on Spotify, Google Podcast, alongside the usual episodes of the podcast that I upload in the morning as sort of a bonus kind of clip and new series here on the channel. And we are covering, as I think you can see on the screen, the African Champions League. Yes, we are doing that, and we are going to expose the Champions League, I hope, to a new audience, because that is what I'm interested at. But seriously, I really want to hear your opinions. Comment on this video, like it, share it. I really want to hear your opinions about what's going to happen in the African Champions League. And it's the first week of the group stages, and I'm going to go not chronologically, I'm going to go group by group over the fixtures of this week. And now let's start from Group A. It is the group which has, of course, in it Vita Club from Congo, Simba from Tanzania, Al-Ahly, of course, the third-placed team in the FIFA Club World Cup just yesterday, and Al-Merrikh from Sudan. And the first fixture sees Vita Club hosting Simba from Tanzania in Congo, of course, in Lubumbashi, and it will be Al-Ahly hosting Al-Merrikh, and it will be on Tuesday, of course, because of the commitments of the Egyptian and African champions in that in the FIFA Club World Cup. Vita Club versus Simba from Tanzania. Vita Club, of course, were in the competition last time out. They eliminated Young Buffaloes to go through to the group stage of the Champions League. They defeated them 4-1 in Congo, and they drew against them away from home 2-2, of course. The Eswatini side, who are playing in the CAF Confederations Cup at the moment, and they will be facing another side, Tunisian of my country, in Club Sportif Sfaxien. Of course, Vita Club at the moment, they're entering this competition on the back of some seriously good form in the Congolese league. They are behind Mazembe and Sanga Balendi with 1 point behind the top team in Congo, Sanga Balendi. 33 points for them, 32 for Vita Club. And of course, they are 3 points ahead of their closest rivals, 1 game in hand as well from San Eloi Lupopo. They are a great team, I would really add. They have some, incredible sort of players. They're champions. They've become a regular fixture in the Champions League and the Confederations Cup in the last couple of seasons. I think it was they reached the quarterfinal. The last time out, they reached the CAF Confederations Cup final a couple of times out. They are winners of that competition in 2015, and you know, it is really interesting to see how they're going to pan out against Simba, the Tanzanian sort of second placed Tanzanian in the Tanzanian league behind Young Africans. Of course, they were the champions last time out, thus entering the competition. They managed to defeat Platinum from Zimbabwe in the qualifying last round 4-0 away from home, or at home, actually, after losing 1-0 in Zimbabwe. Also, they managed to defeat Plateau United from Nigeria, 1-0 away from home, and drawing 0-0 in Tanzania, going through the next round. So, it's going to be a classic, I think, Middle African sort of clash, but all eyes in this group is going to be on the champions themselves, Al-Ahly facing Merrikh. This game, of course, is going to be the last of the action for the first week of the group stages on Tuesday, after Al-Ahly finished their commitments in the FIFA Club World Cup. For Al-Ahly, we saw them last season. They didn't start at the best of ways, the Champions League. They started their campaign pretty poorly, I would add, losing to Etoile Sportive, of course, and then managing to keep up. They looked pretty, shaky at certain points, but they managed to turn things around, beating Wydad Casablanca in the semi-final, then beating Zamalek, their local rivals, in the final to get through to that competition and to win it, to represent Africa in the FIFA Club World Cup. They are second in the league at the moment in Egypt with 21 points, 5 points behind Zamalek, albeit, of course, with 3 games in hand, in difference with the top table, which are Zamalek, of course, 1 game in hand for them, the runners-up, and they are really doing, well, despite the pretty bad form they have. I mean, across all of 2020, somehow they lost only once, which was, very, very early on in the year to Zamalek. It was in one of the Super Cup, in the Super Cup, I think, back to the early days of 2020 against Zamalek. Indeed, it wasn't the Premier League, the Egyptian Premier League, and not the English one. In round 21, 3-1 it ended for Zamalek in, of course, a title race that was decided way decisively by Al-Ahli. 89 points they ended last season. Pretty much the same squad from last time out. We'll see the Boualia, the addition to that squad, playing in the FIFA Club World Cup lately. We'll see how they perform against Al-Merrikh side in the Sudanese League. They're doing really well at the moment, the start of the Sudanese League, 19 points from 9 games, of course, in that competition. Them and Al Hilal, Durman, of course, are the biggest Sudanese club, and they always compete for the top honours in Sudan. It's going to be an interesting game to watch, and I'm assuming that this will be Al Ahli's, game to win, because they should have a strong start, because for the last 2 campaigns or so, they didn't have the best of starts, and it backfired horribly. For the last 3 years, actually, you could say, they didn't have the best of starts. In 2018, they were almost eliminated from the group stage before going all the way to the final and losing it. Then in 2019, being eliminated, in a horrible fashion, 5-0. Against Mamelodi Sundowns in the quarterfinal, and also having a horrible group stage campaign as well. And in 2020, they managed to win the competition despite also having a poor start. So this, I think, should be a break for the norm, really, for Al Ahly. From Group A and to Group B, this is a rough group as well. It's not easy in any way, shape, or form. TP Mazembe are facing CR Belouizdad from Algeria. TP Mazembe are doing really well as well. Just mentioned that they are second in the Congolese league, but of course I'm expecting them really to go through and win it. As far as I'm concerned, TP Mazembe managed to defeat Bouengede from Gabon in the qualifying round. Prior to that, 2-1 in both fixtures. They also managed to defeat Azam from Tanzania in a friendly fixture just last time out. Also they had a couple of other matches, also against Simba from Tanzania, another Champions League side that we just mentioned early on in a couple of friendlies. They enter in a good form. TP Mazembe, still the same core that operates pretty much in the Champions League, of course. Not a lot of changes since the last time they played the competition. They're also one of the favourites, one of the big-time favourites, 5-time African champions, TP Mazembe. They always enter as favourite to win the group and to win the competition. CR Belouizdad in Algeria, they entered as the Algerian runners-up to Al-Merrikh last time out, of course. They had quite the momentum, in their favour, of course. They entered as the runners-up. They entered as the cup winners, actually, in Algeria, and they are top of the table, ahead of MC Alger, the second Algerian side of the competition, 40 points. Having a great form as well for them, being overall being at the moment the strongest attack last time out, but this time And this season, it was different. They are 7th on the table, 20 points, right ahead of MC Alger. We're going to be talking about them later when we reach the Group D. MC Alger, of course, are 8th. They are 7th above them on the table. They're having a rough time, albeit as well, with the caveat almost applies on every team here, that they have some games in hand. They have 3 games in hand comparatively to the rest of the table. Clearly they can go top of the table or somewhere near about if they manage to win their 3 games in a row. They enter as champions, Super Cup winners from last season. I made a mistake by saying that they're runners-up. I didn't check my facts before saying that. They enter as Algerian champions, Super Cup champions winners. They're really doing well, and they are on the up pretty much compared to the last season's latest results. They not quite the feature in African competitions like MC Algiers are, or USMA, or other clubs like Steve, all those kind of clubs, but with that, it's the first proper time that they are in the Champions League. They've been in the CAF Confederations Cup before, but they weren't quite successful there, but they are the first time ever in the Champions League group stage, and hopefully they could do something really good. I mean, I expect them to make some sort of achievement here. They of course defeated Gor Mahia from Kenya to go through, defeat them 6-0 in Algeria before going to defeat them again in Kenya 2-1 to qualify to the group stage deservedly. And of course their first game is a true test against TP Mazembe. The second game in the group stages of Group B is Mamelodi Sundowns versus Al Hilal, also taking place on a Saturday as well for Group B. Mamelodi Sundowns becoming also one of the features of the African competition. Champions League winners last time out in 2016. Since there, they've been hovering around quarterfinals and semi-finals. They've been reaching the knockout stages. They become sort of a staple of the competition. Thankfully, they're not with Wydad Casablanca in the same group, because it seems like they're intrinsically linked with that club. Every time the Champions League rolls around, they face each other in quarterfinals and semi-finals and in group stages multiple times over the last couple of years. Mamelodi Sundowns defeated Jwaneng Galaxy from Burundi to from Botswana, I think, not Burundi, from Botswana to go through to the group stages of this competition. 3-1 in South Africa after defeating them 2-0 away from home. Their standings in the South African League, they are top of the table, 15 matches, 33 points, 5 points ahead of SuperSport United and Swallows, Mbabane Swallows, that is, from South Africa. Also, they are, they're doing really well. I mean, their form is incredible at the moment, 33 points on 15 games. They are, again, a staple of that competition against Al Hilal's side, who are also doing quite well in the Sudanese league. As we mentioned, Al-Merrikh were first. Al Hilal are running on their backs with 18 points from 8 games in that competition. It is seriously, another chance, I think, for Al Hilal. They managed the quarter-final of that competition, of this competition last time out. Of course, they managed the group stage. They weren't exactly through to the quarterfinals. They managed a group stage finish in third with 10 points. They were barely out of the competition. They almost managed to qualify to the quarterfinals, but they couldn't, in a group that was really tough on them, with Al Ahly and Etoile Sportive du Sahel in it. They will have another crack at the nut, and they will try to reach the knockout stages this time around. The start isn't easy against Mamelodi Sundowns, a side that has too much pace, and seriously one of the best sides, one of the best pure football sides in African football at the moment. Yes, there are a lot of sides that are strong in squad, there are lots of sides that have great characters of players, but Mamelodi Sundowns are one of these sides that enjoy playing football, and you like to see enjoyable football with them in the Champions League, and they are, and they have players that went on to bigger things, really. Percy Towers now, for example, is playing at Brighton, so in the Premier League, so in English Premier League, so it's not exactly the worst thing for them. From Group B, we go to Group C, and Group C, of course, has a match that is postponed. Wydad Casablanca versus Kaizer Chiefs is going to be postponed, so this week there will be one match played, which is Horoya Conakry from Guinea playing against Petro Atletico from Angola. Horoya entering this competition in a rough situation in the Ghanaian league. Last, bottom of the table, believe that or not, after 5 games, also with the caveat of the other clubs that they have 2 games in hand. And, the whole table in the Guinean league, I'm checking it, and it's pretty tight. Like, seriously, it is Fellow Star in the top 12 points, Ashanti Kotoko with 12 points, Soa with 11, Flam Olympique with 10, Kalumsar with 10, 9 points for Wakria and Hafia Conakry, and 8 points for Ace FAG, Lubha with 7 points, Kamsa with 6 points, Elephant Colère 6 points, Santoba 6 points, Satellite, there's a club called Satellite in Guinea, yes, 5 points, and Horoya Conakry with 3 points, and on the other side, Petro Atletico couldn't be any better if they wanted to. They're 9 games into their season in the Angolese league, 19 points ahead of Ferroviario de Wambo with 15 points ahead of them. They played all of their games. They don't have the caveat of games in hand. They also have been a staple of the African competition. Horoya Conakry, Petro Atletico haven't been featured in a while. There is Primeiro de Agosto, the other Angolese side, who has been featured in the Champions League. Those are 12, by the way, in the table of the Angolese League. You want to know, Primeiro de Agosto. This is going to be, I think, a traditional as well, sort of Middle African clash between 2 sides that also, again, quite the staple of African football, maybe more so in the CAF Confederation Cup, but we'll see what they're going to be doing in the Champions League. Horoya have been in the Champions League for quite a while, and they reached the quarter-final last time out. They were eliminated against Wydad Casablanca in the quarterfinal, or I think they were with them in the group stages. As we mentioned, Wydad Casablanca versus Kaizer Chiefs is not going to be played this week, and is going to be postponed, rescheduled, that is, for another time. We close out, of course, with Group D, and Group D includes the runners-up and the team that is going to be starting and kicking off the campaign today. Zamalek SC from Egypt against MC Alger. That is a big clash to watch, and if you're not North African, you're not going to understand how big and how strong of a clash this is between these 2 sides. Zamalek, of course, as you mentioned, they are second in, or top of the table, in fact, in the Egyptian Premier League, 26 points from 11 games, 1 game in hand, but in front of that rivals Al Ahly with 5 points, and, they have been unlucky last time out. They lost the Super Cup. They lost they won the cup. They lost the cup as well. They were eliminated early in the cup, and they lost the league to Al Ahly by quite the big margin. And obviously the Champions League against Al Ahly losing as well. It was a season where Al Ahly dominated the Cairo Derby. Zamalek are going to be looking to start strong here. They lost one of the best attackers in Mustafa Mohammed, who went to Galatasaray in the transfer window. They brought in Saifuddin Jaziri from Al-Muqawloon from Egypt in a local transfer sort of move in the Egyptian league, and it was really, really good, for them to get that kind of attacker, try to bolster their squad ahead of the Champions League. For MC Alger, we talked about it when we talked about CR Belou, is that they are languishing, and comparatively again, languishing in the mid-table of the Algerian League, 8th with 19 points. They are 8 points behind Steve at the top of the table. Also, the caveat applies here, a game in hand, or 2 games in hand, in fact, for them in the Algerian League. Quite the problem with the scheduling in the Algerian League. Almost like 4 or 5 teams only played their full fixtures in the Algerian leagues, and of course the COVID situation is affecting the leagues right, left and centre, and obviously it affects the North African and African leagues as well. So this game I think it's pretty important. MC Alger eliminated Club Sportif Sfaxien, as we mentioned, the Tunisian side, in the last round and last time out. 1-0, defeating them in losing 1-0 in Tunisia, but defeating the Club Sportif Sfaxien 2-0 in Algiers, albeit with some shady goals, really, some shoddy goals and some shoddy refereeing in that game, I would say, to get that 2-0 win. They weren't exactly the best they could be. They weren't the strongest or the better side over the two legs, but they managed to do enough to win by a bit of a refereeing, which is a constant problem in Africa. The shoddy refereeing against Zamalek side that managed to eliminate Gazelle by forfeit, basically, in the last round of the qualifiers. Obviously lost to Al Ahly in the final last time out, so they will try and make more, go one better and win the Champions League with pretty much again the same squad, only losing Mustafa Mohammed to transfer window, going to the Turkish league and going to Galatasaray. Saving the best for last, though, and it's a game that is not important generally, but for me it's important. It's Espérance Sportive de Tunis, the 2018 and 2019 champions back-to-back, going against Tenguith from Senegal, the team that eliminated Raja Casablanca from the preliminary round, 0-0, both results 0-0, and ending on penalties, winning on penalties in Morocco, in one of the weirdest Champions League games you'd ever see in Africa. Like the stadium, the Mohammed V Stadium was so wet and so slippery that the ball couldn't be properly played in that stadium. Somehow Tenguith managed to keep a 0-0 result all over the 90 minutes and the extra time, and went on to win on penalties against Espérance, who also had struggles of their own in the preliminary round, barely beating Ali Benghazi 3-2 in admittedly a bit of a shoddy refereeing as well. The third goal was offside. I'm not going to try and make it pretty. It was offside and it shouldn't have stood, but it stood. I don't care, really. It's my team I support and I want to see it go through. So it is Espérance de Tunis versus Tenguith. Espérance are leading the league in Tunisia, 31 points. With, of course, a game in hand as well, ahead of Etoile du Sahel with 26 points. Etoile du Sahel feature in the CAF Confederations Cup, as well as the Club Sfaxien and the US Monastir, who are going to be playing against Raja Casablanca, of course. Hopefully we're going to be talking about that in some time. So this should be a straightforward game. This should be an easy game, although it might be tricky because Tenguith are not exactly that bad of a team. Third in the Senegalese league with 6 games. Of course, all the teams in the Senegalese league played their games. Thankfully, I found a league where all the teams played all their games. Tenguith with 11 points, third on the table, but their form is quite incredible. They are the strongest defense in their league with 3 goals. I mean, you could not really judge by 6 games, but that, should be an indication that they really could be solid defensively, and they could play a lot of, they could play a lot of good football defensively. They could really be solid and tight against an Espérance side who like to find spaces, and then they struggle a bit when they don't find spaces in the back. So this is going to be the fixtures, of course, for the Champions League of Africa this week. Hopefully, we see some enjoyable football, because the African football, and I think I will be, alone in this, but I think it's more intense than the European football. Not more enjoyable necessarily, but more intense, just more stressful, more pressing. Maybe I'm saying this because my team plays in that competition and I'm supporting it, but seriously, it is more intense and more gripping, especially when crowds are in. Oh my goodness, when crowds are in the stadiums, it's just so tense, because the booing, talk about hostile atmospheres. Africa has some of the most hostile atmospheres ever, particularly in for example, Congo, Botswana, Rwanda, those kind of countries in the middle of Central Africa. It is seriously intense, and I like it for that, and it adds a lot of atmosphere and a lot of enjoyment and entertainment to that game. It gives you that raw emotion that I always look forward in football. That's it for this first preview of the Champions League group stages in Africa. Like, share, comment on the video. What do you think? Subscribe to the channel. Make sure to enable notifications to receive all the updates. Follow us on social media. I'm at SaltPSP on Twitter, Pitch Sideboard on Instagram, and you can listen to this on Spotify, Google Podcasts, or any other platform. I'm going to be making sure to upload it. Thank you for watching / listening. I was with HD of the PSP, and I'll be seeing you soon.